Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of December 22nd to December 28th. Now, before we do a recap, breakdown, or anything along these lines, I want to remind everybody that we are in the final days of the existing pricing to book sessions with me. Effective January 1st, all of my base pricing is going to increase. So if you're wanting to book a one-on-one session just for your very first time, or if you're wanting to do a bundle of sessions, I know a lot of you like to do the bundles. You have until the end of the year to book at the existing pricing. So all you have to do is go to the website, www.thespirituallyboujee.com, go to astrological services, and you'll see a breakdown there as to like everything that we have available at this time. I have a couple other little tinkering things that I need to do on the website through the Christmas. I'm calling it Christmas break. I'm not taking a break or anything, but a lot of people are in their downtime during Christmas. So I'll be doing a couple little things to the website over the next few days also. So if you guys see one or two things that are kind of weird in the merchandise side, it is what it is. Just let me do my thing so that way I can finally get a couple things corrected, because there was a multitude of people. You ordered stuff through the Mercury retrograde that I had to cancel your order, refund it, or we had a bunch of issues trying to get stuff serviced. And I think I've now finally got a correction for that now that Mercury is out of shadow. Isn't that funny how it works that way sometimes? And it does work that way sometimes. There will be certain times that you have a conversation like right before a planet goes retrograde. And it's like a good idea, good things that we want to do, good plan, good communication. Something is good, but then something in the universe kind of goes click, 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 turn, 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 retrograde, retrograde, retrograde. And that like falls to the wayside. Something doesn't have the ability to progress after that. And then when that planet comes back around after its retrograde, so post walk of shadow, walk of shame, depending on what you want to talk about. And that post energy, it's like we can pick back up on something that we were discussing before, but some part of the dynamic has changed. And again, Mercury has left shadow. So some of us are picking up on some things. We're picking up on different topics, different plans, little meetings that we had back in October. Now, some elements of those meetings have been kind of altered. Some elements of those conversations are different. We are slightly different. We've had some kind of test. We've had some changes. We've had some insecurities. That was November. For a lot of people, there were specific things in November that were brought to the surface, wounds, emotions, things being brought to light. And there was something even in the element of what got brought to light that needed to be there to give extra layers of fueling for what we're about to do next. Now, for the last week, Mars has been in Capricorn. Over the weekend, the sun moved into Capricorn. Sunday was the winter solstice. Yule, for those that you want to do it that way. Whenever it comes to the astrology, the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year. It is the start of winter, the start of cardinal signs, i.e., Capricorn in this case, is the start of a new season. And this is the winter solstice. From this day forward, every day will get longer. The light will grow. But for us to understand how the growth goes from here, we have to take serious account, be very clear of our boundaries, be very much in understanding of our roles, of our responsibility, of what we're doing now. And for some of us, even the focus is going to be on the elders, depending on your situation. Some of you might have a mix of all of it, but there's something about our focus as this week progresses and takes us into the new year. Mars has been in Capricorn for a couple of days. The sun is now in Capricorn. This is how we're going to start the week. Midway through the week, Venus will also enter Capricorn. And all of these transits going into Saturn sign can be read very clearly, at least in one direction, and that is there's something moving into place that's impacting the rules. Why? Because this is happening in Saturn sign. And Saturn rules rules. time, karma, responsibility, the things that we start to take charge over. Saturn rules so many things that can be concurrent to planets like the sun and Jupiter, but with a much more steadfast hand. There's a certain amount of ageism. The more you grow, the more you start to learn. We have a little bit more of a jadedness in our confidence and in our decision making because we've been burned. Now, I'm not saying that people are going to get burned per se, but there is a burning energy in a lot of people. There's a restlessness. There's some kind of tension for some, but there is a direction in others. And over the course of these next few weeks, more so in January, but based off the transits, kind of starting this week, we have certain things that are meant to come to light, to come into focus, to be revealed. And a lot of that has to do with how close both Mars and Venus are to the sun. Anytime we start to look at a conjunction and feeling energies around conjunctions, they really pick up around 3 degrees. Well, as this week progresses, that's what's going to happen. Mars will be 3 degrees away from the sun. The sun will be 3 degrees away from Venus. Be very tightly on top of each other. And again, this is happening in Saturn's sign. And for the last 8 weeks, Saturn has been spinning at 25 degrees of Pisces. This is where he ended his retrograde. And there has been an area of our lives where many people have been feeling stuck. Stuck not knowing what they want to do. Stuck feeling deep-seated emotions that I'm tired of feeling so friggin' depressed. Especially the masculine. I'm very sorry, guys. I know a lot of you guys have been struggling. There has this spinning, spiraling energy as to like, I want to get something going, but it's either not the right time. I don't have the money. Certain things have not happened yet. I'm waiting on an approval. I'm waiting on somebody to step up. I'm waiting for somebody to say, go. But in a lot of ways, we haven't had it yet. But by the end of this week, Saturn will finally get off the 25-degree mark. And he will start moving again. And in a lot of ways, many of us are finding ourselves picking back up on things, altering a mentality, altering a focus, altering a plan that could go all the way back to the beginning of 2025. We're working with people that we met back then, but our meeting with them was not clear. We're picking up on the second level of something that we were doing before. But again, we didn't know what we didn't know, so we were trying to test a bunch of things over the summer. There was a lot of activity over the course of this last summer, as well as things showing us that something might not be fitting right. Now we're getting into a different perspective of what we need to take care of to finally push something forward. We have certain responsibilities. We have certain things that need to become clear. Some of us need to have one final round of telling certain people, especially our elders, how we feel about them. And that's going to be very specific, the most around Christmas. Christmas. Why is that? Because the moon will be in Pisces, aiming to get closer to a conjunction to Saturn. By the time we get to the end of the week, it will have a conjunction. But whenever you have all of these planets in Saturn's sign and an emotional moon coming through, for a lot of people, whenever it comes to this week, it's time to reveal some things. It's time to tell some truths. It's time to tell people we've made a decision to change something. That can be super mundane. For other people, it is time to hold accountability to the people that have created wounds, to the people that have disrespected our boundaries. And as you get into this mode of revealing, holding accountable, telling people how you feel, holding a different kind of space, what the plan is from here, there's something almost relieving. And in that relief, by the time we get into next weekend, there's a motivation. Whenever it comes to this week, there's not huge transits per se. It's more about what the roller coaster of what the moon is doing for us to make things make sense. We want to start moving forward. We want to progress. We want to do something different. Some of us know what our different is going to be. We know what our new normal is starting. We know the startup as we go into the next year. Some of us know. Some of you still don't. And it'll be the things that get revealed this week going into next week, the things that find their way of bubbling up to the surface that force accountability, sure, and awareness more so. For some people, the changes that you are making, other people are not going to be happy about it. What do you mean you're going to move my grandbabies 5 states away? I want to be whatever kind of grandma, grandpa, auntie, whatever. I want to do this. It's not an option. We need to move. I got a job offer. This is what's best for my family. And there will be even elements as we go through this week of people realizing that they're spending like their last Christmas with certain people. For some people, that's going to be fine. For other people, it's like watching the awkward parents that are on the verge of divorce, but they haven't fully told everybody they're on the verge of divorce. You just see like mom is constantly staying in that other room, and it's not just the kitchen. Like she's avoiding this room at all costs because that's where dad is. And for some people, whenever you see the element of that energy between two people, you will recognize the pattern of disruption, even though it hasn't yet been revealed. Something is odd. Something is different. And again, as certain things start to come to the surface, which this is the first week of little things finding their way up to the surface, coming into the light, getting exposed, getting revealed, it is then going to be followed with some kind of immediate desire to take some level of action, to do some type of activity. And that really encompasses the weekend after Christmas. So let's get into the transits. Let's get into this week. Again, I don't feel like it's super heavy, but there's a lot of lunar activity that's pushing us forward for sure. Now we're going to start out with the moon in Capricorn. You can see it right here at 25 degrees. Remember, on Sunday, the sun moved into Capricorn. So really the 22nd for us is our first full day of the sun in Capricorn for a lot of people. So a lot of times when a planet changes signs, it harkens an arrival. It brings something new into focus. It brings something new into light, especially whenever we're talking about the sun. Now, the one thing I will say about the sun in Capricorn is like, this is the sun in his detriment. The sun does not do well in Saturn signs. Saturn does not do well in the sun sign. So in this case, some of the new that can come to light might not be sunshine and rainbow material. It might get met with irritation. It might get met with some frustration. It might get met with some judgment. And that could have been also a big part of the weekend going into Monday. And we can still be kind of lingering on it as we go through the day on Monday. Now, between 12:30 a.m., which is where I've got it right now, and 2:30 a.m., the moon is also going to make a sextile to Saturn. So the moon in Saturn sign, making this not so heavy aspect to Saturn. It just feels like very timely, something about our role, something about our responsibility, something about the elder that needs to be understood, some kind of new direction of some kind of plan based off of the moon sextile to Saturn. It does not have to be heavy, But I will say some people over the course of the weekend did have some kind of I'm going to say appreciation. I really feel like it was more so appreciation than anything else. But something was brought to light over the weekend whenever Venus went through her square to Saturn. And this can be one extra layer of the appreciation, of the awareness, something new came through, why something needs to go a certain way, where there was actions to overcome certain frustrations over the weekend, if anything like that. But this feels like a continuation of a conversation that's already been a kind of going on. It does not feel completely new. It really doesn't. Okay, moving along. Between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m., I got this now at 6:30. We're going to go with the moon, 28 degrees, 16 minutes. It's going to go through a trine to Uranus. So you can see that right here. Here's Uranus, 28:14. And again, more moon over here in Capricorn, 28:16. If we're trying to be productive first thing in the morning on Monday, which some of us will be productive, you might have some kind of unexpected issue, an unexpected communication, some kind of email of some sort, or a phone call that you're not anticipating. A lot of times Uranus can have something to do with technology. So there could be something where you're trying to be productive and you are trying to get on your computer and all of a sudden like, oh, it's updating and it says it's going to take 2 weeks to update, because every once in a while you get the weird timing thing. Or you wake up and there's some unexpected update that's happened already on your computer and you're like, how did this work? How did this happen? The phone, doing it on the phone, like, what happened? Why does it look this way? Why is it responding this way? Why does it act this way? I don't like it. So there can be some kind of unexpected things that impact being productive, given the fact that we're talking about the moon in Capricorn, earth sign, Uranus back in Taurus, of course, earth sign. So anytime we're talking about anything earth, there's something about what we're trying to physically do, grounded energy, but also productive energy. Depends on the current situation. Some of us have plans of stuff we need to do as soon as we wake up on Monday morning. All right, between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., I got this now at 9:30. The moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn is going to go through a sextile to Neptune. This can have a little hint of confusion or hint of nostalgia. For some people, it will be nostalgic, especially whenever we're getting closer to the holidays. We can be trying to still be in that productive mode, but now it's more along the lines of like, this was our tradition, or this is what I've done in the past. This is what I like to do on Christmas morning. This is the final little steps of something I need to do to make something pretty. Like I'm doing something creative. A lot of you guys are like doing backdrops and stuff, or you're doing final little touches on your Christmas tree. The thing about December is a lot of people did not start December still feeling like it was Christmas. And that's because we had just ended that Mercury retrograde. It's taken a little bit of time to get into that Christmas energy. And I feel like a lot of people are finally starting to do it, but it's like right at the tail end. It's like right before we actually go into the holiday. And this can be some kind of final little decorations or final little inspiration. But for other people, there can be confusion. The other thing that's going on in this time span is at 9:52 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm just going to go ahead and bump this an hour. The moon is going to go into Aquarius. Now, as soon as the moon goes into Aquarius, it's not heavy. There can be some kind of like triggers of insecurity throughout the day. Initially, because as soon as the moon goes into Aquarius, it starts to build its conjunction to Pluto. But for a lot of people, if we're talking about an insecurity, it's because it's time to voice something. It's time to say something. It's time to talk about something from the past. If this is insecurity, for some people, this is talking about a power struggle. It doesn't have to be insecurity in the trauma sense. It can be more along the lines of, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling to find a solution. I'm struggling to put something together. For other people, it's going to be super mundane. It's going to be something about what's been going on behind the scenes, below the surface, and something along these lines. But it feels like once the moon goes into Aquarius, there's something kind of sticky or stuck, or we're being stubborn, or we're feeling kind of stuck in something, that there's chances of certain things not going well. And a lot of it has to do with like, as soon as the moon goes into Aquarius, like there's something kind of rigid, because we can feel something shifting below the surface. We can feel certain things coming up, but they're not completely coming up all at once. So there's that. Now, the moon is in Aquarius. You can see that right here. As we progress into the afternoon, bump this forward between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is when the moon is going to hit its conjunction to Pluto. So, like I said, once the moon goes into Aquarius, we get close to this conjunction to Pluto, and there can be something triggering. There can be something frustrating. There can be something that we were not anticipating. We can be talking about power struggles. We can also be talking about plumbing issues. Let's not put our grease down the sink, guys. That's not a good place for it to go. We can have plumbing issues. And it's so funny to me how often, in the most mundane sense, not okay, not funny, ha ha. Anytime there's a major holiday, that's like whenever the plumbing issues like seem to peak for some reason. If you ask a plumber, they get really busy around the holidays because people that wouldn't normally cook seem to be cooking, or they cook something or put something down the sink that they shouldn't. There could be a huge thing around plumbing issues. I'm not trying to manifest it. I'm just being realistic. But here's the moon's conjunction to Pluto. There's something about something feeling stuck. There's something about this energy of like needing to talk about things that have been going for a long period of time. We're wrapped up with the moon's conjunction to Pluto. We don't really have any more direct transits to the 22nd. We're getting more now into the 23rd. And there's still not a lot of not I can't talk now, not a lot going on. The moon's going to be in Aquarius all day long. I feel like a lot of people have things to talk about, things to say, things to voice, plans or opinions that we've had for a long time. I say opinions because the moon is an Aquarius, so air sign, there's going to be some opinions. But I don't feel like there's a lot of dynamic of things moving around or doing a whole lot. I think that there can be like logical yet stubborn conversations of final things we need to pack, final things that we need to do. But I don't know why, whenever the moon's going through Aquarius, I feel like a lot of people are very stuck or stagnant, but I don't feel like it lasts for long. Now, there's only two transits to Tuesday. One is building all day. It's not going to go exact into the nighttime. And we're going to start to kind of feel it in the buildup right around this first transit. And the first transit has to do with Mercury, 16 degrees, 37 minutes, is in a sextile to the moon. There can be something very hopeful, optimistic, boastful, plans of some sort, direction of some sort with this Mercury part. But the second transit that is building, and again, is not going to go exact until nearly midnight, is Venus and her square to Neptune. Now, this can be kind of like lush energy. It can be a little exuberant. We can be a little, because it is kind of going so slow, we get a little bit more indulgent. So we have like an extra glass of wine, or we're having some extra sugar and extra cookies. Like there's just something very, very exudy from it. And if the moon had been in Pisces, I feel like it would be even more so, but it's not. So this feels like we can be drinking a little bit extra wine as we are doing our Christmas decorations, or we're taking extra emphasis of being like extra creative with how we're wrapping our presents, given the fact that, again, all throughout the evening, Venus is building her square to Neptune, and it actually goes exact between 11:19 and 11:37 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got it now at 11:30. Here's Venus, 29 degrees, 25 minutes. Here's Neptune, 29:25. The only thing I do not like about Tuesday evening is drinking and driving. No, none of that stuff. We don't want anything like that. If you want to indulge something extra in your senses that clouds your judgment, call someone else, get an Uber. I don't care. But this energy is not going to be good if you are not sober. Now, if you are sober, it's very creative. It's very hopeful. It's very boastful. It can be a little bit lost in the sauce. Some of us are going to be a little bit more indulgent. Like I said before, we're doing these little things that are a little bit more creative, and we're hoping that other people are going to appreciate it. We're going to surprise them with some things. There's a Neptune element here. So there's some parts that either you get a little really delusional as to like, oh, they're going to love this gift, and they might not. Or other people are going to be absolutely blindsided that something is coming through that they didn't know about. So there can be a blockage there, but it doesn't have to be bad. Again, if you're feeling a little lost in the sauce type of vibration, that's the only thing I don't like. But the Venus Neptune square, like, no drinking and driving. That's my big thing. Or any other substance for that matter. Okay. Now, again, Venus Neptune, it's going the most exact right before midnight on the 23rd. Obviously, as we start the 24th, it's still active. So, this overnight energy, be aware of that. No, again, no super indulgent energy. The other thing that we want to pay attention to with this one is going to be some people can have weird kind of like flush energy, like their body can physically react to something differently. So if you have anything where you feel like your body is reacting to something because you were indulgent, especially, pay attention to that. Okay. We're still in the Venus square Neptune. We're going to keep this going in the overnight hours between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this now at 5:30. The moon is going to sextile Chiron. So here's the moon, 22 degrees, 45 minutes. Here's Chiron, 22:38. We're just past it right here. The Chiron energy hasn't been super heavy. The reason I keep bringing it up is because we are in this long-term square between Chiron and Jupiter. Remember, it went exact over the course of the weekend also, the weekend before. So there's still this energy about what it takes to take care of something, to overcome something, to fix a wound that is kind of coming through. We can be very, very aware of what actions people have not taken appropriately to fix wounds, and that can be a part of the conversation that's lingering. But the moon and the sextile to just Chiron, it's in this in conjunction to Jupiter. We can be hearing about a solution from one person, giving direction of a solution, giving direction of how to fix something, how to heal something, how to work through something, talking about a wound from the past, talking about something that still has not healed. As we're getting closer to Christmas, some people are going to be talking about some wounds because, again, we can be kind of struggling in regards to how parts of this holiday goes. Not everybody, but there can be. With the moon sextile to Chiron, we can be having this need to talk about the wound. For other people, it's like this is where the awareness of something kind of comes through in regards to the wound. Now, as we continue at 10:26 a.m. Central Standard Time, so I got this now at 10:30, Venus arrives into Capricorn. So now we have Venus, the sun, and Mars. Venus is 3 degrees away from the sun. The sun is 4 degrees away. But as this week progresses, they get closer and closer and closer. And again, there can be new things come through. We are getting closer to things coming to light, coming into the focus, getting revealed. And there can be some revelations that start to come through. Sometimes when we have a planet change signs, I just talk about arrivals. And for some people, there is going to be an arrival on Wednesday. Somebody new, somebody unexpected, something that we were not anticipating. Your kids have decided to bring home their new partner and they did not tell you, hey, I got a new girlfriend, I got a new boyfriend, I'm bringing them to Christmas. They just didn't tell you. Yeah, you're going to find out when they show up. It happens that way sometimes. But Venus's entry into Capricorn is one of two reasons why I say there's something towards an arrival. As we get later into the day, I'll explain the rest of that. Now, as we get into the afternoon, between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m., I got this now at 3:30, the moon in Aquarius, 28 degrees, 3 minutes right here, is going to hit a square to Uranus. Now, the moon is in Uranus's sign, hitting the square right here. So there can be some kind of acknowledgement of something that has changed or something that didn't go right, but it's like an unexpected thing. But there's also this understanding. The moon is in Uranus's sign. I understand that this has bothered you. I understand that something has come through. What I am looking at is Uranus right now is in Venus's sign. It's in Taurus. And Venus has just arrived into Capricorn. So some people might be willing to finally talk about something that has bothered them for a while. And it might be that's the arrival. It's like the news of something coming through finally. Something had not gone to plan for some time, and now it's time to have this conversation. It's time to work through something. It's time to talk about something. It's time to hear something. For other people, again, an arrival can have this unexpected wave of like, we didn't know they were coming. We didn't know this was happening. For some people, that's just like everybody acting like a bunch of little kids. We didn't know. Didn't know somebody new is going to be here. And then it's kind of like, the bombarding. It's like, who are you? Where are you from? Who's your people? What's your name? Questions, 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 things along these lines. The thing about after the moons hit the squares to Uranus is the fact that the moon is going to go void for a couple of hours at 7:09 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is whenever the moon is going to go into Pisces. Now, as soon as the moon goes into Pisces, I want to also bring up right here, it is in a sextile to Venus. So here's Venus 28, 0, 20, I'm sorry, 0 degrees 28. Here's the moon 0 degrees 11. For some people, the 24th is going to have an arrival of someone, either somebody coming back around, or it's going to have the arrival of someone new. And it is this little mix of Venus going into a new sign and the moon going into a new sign simultaneously, that it feels like something new, someone new, going somewhere new, doing something we haven't done before, but it feels really timely. It feels kind of responsible. It's like, no, it's great. I'd be happy to make an extra dish and go do Christmas Eve with your parents. Like, I would be happy to do this. They don't know that you're coming. I hope you made something good. For some people, I feel like there's going to be this element of not knowing. For other people, there's going to be something that arrives that's going to trigger emotions. Now, the thing is, for the next 2 days, while we go through the holiday, the moon being in Pisces, for some people, it's going to be time to have some conversations to finally heal from something that we have not healed from before. The moon going through Pisces and ultimately hitting a conjunction to Saturn. 2, there's going to be this melancholic energy of this Christmas isn't the same. And there's going to be emotions that flood to the surface because, again, the moon's going to be in Pisces for the next 2 days as we go through the holiday. That person isn't here. Things aren't the same. I don't like how this feels. I don't like where this is going. I don't like it. And there would be emotions that find their way up. There's not going to be big dynamics through the holiday unless you have certain natal placements that are being activated based off the transits. Though there's not going to be big things, but there is going to be a lot of emotions. For some people, it's going to be very, very healing. For other people, it's going to bring things up finally to the surface because it's time to finally have certain conversations, to finally let some things out there. It's time to purge a lot of things, and that's a hell of a way to get through the holiday. But I feel like that's going to be a lot of what needs to happen. There's going to be some little elements around the family dynamic, the family wound, the family trauma for a lot of people when we go through Christmas this year. For other people, it's going to feel smooth and casual and fun. It really kind of comes down to how you deal with the moon in Pisces. Some people are going to go great, other people, not so much. It's going to be low key. But again, the moon goes into Pisces. It's in the sextile to Venus because both of them have just changed signs. They're immediately in a sextile. This feels like, for a lot of people, whenever it comes to the 24th, there is something or someone new in this vibration. There's something new in the arrival. There's something new in the mix. There's something new going on. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but there is something new for a lot of people. And it feels like it encompasses a lot of the evening. The sextile between Venus and the moon goes between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. So again, I feel like there's going to be 1 or 2 people that you got an extra guest at dinner that you were not expecting. It is what it is. Okay. Christmas. The moon's going to be in Pisces all day long in the overnight hours between 1 and 3 a.m. The sun, 3 degrees, 47 minutes, is going to go through its sextile to the moon. So you can see this right here. We will be kind of building up to our first quarter moon, but of course that's not happening yet. This is not a heavy energy, and considering it's happening in the overnight hours, it can be kind of a dream energy for some people. In other ways, it's going to be, I hate to say this, some people are going to be like crying themselves to sleep. Other people are going to be feeling some kind of emotional tug, emotional pull, those little tethers, the old traditions, the new traditions. There's these little timely tugs and pulls, and there can be emotions here. But for other people, it's completely healing because we're doing something different. We're going somewhere new. But it still pulls on those heart, strings of like, I miss my grandmother. I miss this family member. I miss this person. And seeing you with your grandmother or you with your person, whoever this is, it just reminds me of that. And it just kind of pulls those little heartstrings. Okay. We're going to keep this going. Between 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, you got this right here at 9:30. Mars, 7 degrees, 49 minutes, is going to hit the sextile to the moon. And I want to pick up again, look how close Venus, Sun, Mars, they're all getting to each other. We still have these little inklings of little things of that are coming to the surface. And when Mars going into the sextile to the moon, we can still have something coming to the surface, and it can be something a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more unexpected. Some people might feel some kind of little pinch in their nerve if the wrong tone is used of get out here and help us. I didn't even know anyone was here. I didn't know you needed help. Why are you yelling the way that you are? We have those little twinges of something that brings some insecurity to the surface or brings something disruptive into the forefront, but it doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people are actually going to kind of wake up on Christmas morning feeling a little bit restless and feeling like they want to do something, but then a lot of people can't go do what they want to do because everything's closed. Happy holidays. It is what it is. Okay. Now, for other people, this is going to be, again, a healing energy, an emotional energy, an exuding energy. And as we get into the afternoon, roughly around 4 p.m., I got it now at 3:30, the moon is going to hit a conjunction to the North Node. And I've got to give credit. I feel like a lot of people have been feeling that North Node energy, especially since we've had a lot of the Sagittarius transits, which we are about to finally wrap up whenever Mercury finally leaves leaves Sagittarius and goes into Capricorn. But whenever the moon hits this conjunction to the North Node, knowing that the moon is actually in mutual reception to Jupiter, there can be some kind of ideas, some kind of focus, again, things throughout the day that we want to talk about that we want to do next, the direction that we have. There could be something that kind of like comes into the mental energy that I want to do something, that I'm meant to do something, that I'm meant to go somewhere. And again, because of where we're at in this energy compared to like a month ago, there's something more pressing that we're able to get closer to, that it's time to do, we feel called to do. And this is very much download energy, but there can be awareness with and around the head. So be aware of like the head. Okay. I know it sounds weird, but just humor me. For a lot of people, it's feeling called to do something, feeling we have a direction. There's not a whole lot going else throughout the day. The moon's going to be in Pisces all throughout the rest of the day on Christmas. So whatever we're doing, it's just the stuff that's bringing us peace. It's making us feel good. It's helping us heal. It's bringing forth certain emotions. For some people, that will be childlike. For other people, it's going to be hard. It's going to be melancholic. But it's time for some of those things to kind of flow through you and purge, process your emotions. Trust me, don't suppress them, process them. It's the best way to get through your healing process. All right, we're going to keep this going. We're going to get into the 26th. Hello, Friday. The moon is going to be in Pisces all day long. In the morning time between 8 and 10 a.m. I'm getting this now at 8:30. Here we go. Mercury, 20 degrees, 30 minutes, is going to hit a square to the moon. You can see that right here. There can be some kind of communication, some kind of, again, direction, some type of questions about some of the things that we want to do, about some of the energies that we're trying to create. Like, this is not argumentative, heavy energy, except for the fact that sometimes people can have two separate opinions, but two separate opinions does not have to mean arguing. And that's what I think people forget sometimes. The way you see something, the way I see something does not have to be the same. It does not have to be an argument. So I feel like this is like, I got an idea. I want to do this. Oh, well, I want to do this. Is there a way that we can make them both work? Absolutely. I'm going to pick you up. Let's get some coffee. Let's go do this. I'll take you to your stuff. You can come with me to mine. It's like having the errand friend, but it's like the after Christmas errand friend. Like, I want to hit this places and get the clearance shopping done. Cool. I want to go here. Let's just make a day of it and do it together. So different plans, different opinions, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's finding our way of coming together. Between 10:30 a.m. and 12:30, I got this now at 11:30, the moon, 21 degrees, 51 more minutes, is going to hit this trine to Jupiter. So we're just before this actually goes exact. Looks like it's going to go exact closer to like 12 or 11:45-ish. But here, again, moon and Jupiter are in mutual reception. There's an understanding here. There's an emotional flow. There's a creativity flow. There is something about understanding the doctor, the guru, the teachers, certain lessons, things that we've learned, things that we're healing from. Like, it's not a heavy energy. It can be creative. It really kind of comes down to how you're dealing with the Pisces side of the Jupiterian transits. But considering everything is direct now, it shouldn't be as heavy, and we should actually feel little bits of momentum, but not completely, because we still got things that are going to go on in Pisces. So let's keep this going. Between 6 and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, so we got this now at 7:30, the moon goes into a conjunction to Saturn. You see that right here. Saturn is 25 degrees 53. The moon is 26:20. This looks like it was more exact right around the 6:57 p.m. standpoint. So we're a little bit past it right here. But again, look at all of these planets that over the last 2 weeks have moved into Saturn's sign. Mars has went into Capricorn. The sun just went into Capricorn. Literally, as we've gone through this week, Venus has gone into Capricorn. It might be having time to have a responsible conversation, timely conversation, moon conjunct Saturn, with the elders. Very few people is it going to be with the boss, but there can still be something around the boss. Feeling like it's time to make this change, telling our elders that we're about to start a new job. There's something about a responsibility conversation. And again, because so much has recently gone into Capricorn, for some people, there's something very, very new that needs to be discussed, needs to be met about, needs to be focused on. This is my role moving forward. This is the responsibility moving forward. This is what grandpa needs moving forward. Moon conjunct Saturn. It doesn't have to be heavy. It really comes down to what it's time to talk about. And there is some very timely, responsible conversations as we get into the evening time. For some people, it's going to be karma related. For other people, it's just the matter of timing. As we progress into the evening time, between 9:30 and 11:30 p.m., got this now at 10:30, the moon in Pisces is going to hit a sextile to Uranus. For some people, hey, you want to go out? You want to go look at some Christmas lights? I know we're past the holiday, but some people, the lights don't usually start to come down until January. So there's that final little bit like, hey, you want to do this thing? It's not planned. You want to go here? It's not planned. You want to do something unexpected? You want to do something we don't normally do? The moon hitting the sextile to Uranus is exactly that. Or it's getting on your phone and it's seeing something unexpected through technology of like, oh, look at everybody's photos. Look at everybody's stuff. Look at all the stuff people are doing. Oh, that looks like so much fun. Oh, I'm glad they got their new whatever. Oh, look, so-and-so is engaged. Moon sextile Uranus, and the pictures finally going up on social media. That's what that kind of feels like. Okay. After the sextile to Uranus, we get closer to the conjunction to Neptune. Now, this is actually going to happen on the 27th. So this is more going to be focused on Saturday. The conjunction between the moon and Neptune actually starts between midnight and 2 a.m. So you can see that it's starting to build right here. The moon's at 29.8. Here's Neptune. This again can be that lost in the sauce energy. I don't want people doing like heavy drinking and then trying to drive. You need to call a person. You need to call an Uber. I don't care what you do. We don't need the lost in the sauce stuff. For other people, there's going to be some little things that kind of come up in the late evening time that are a little bit confusing. If you're just wanting to do something extra at home, then that's cool. But if you're wanting to go out, be responsible. That's my big thing right there. I just want people to be responsible and be safe. The moon's conjunction to Neptune can also bring things up to the surface. There can be lies, fraud, deception. I don't want to get too heavy into that because I don't feel like that kind of fits the pattern of the rest of the transits, but it doesn't mean that people don't lie. Some people are lying about what went wrong. They're lying about their role in a situation. And if that's the case, just be aware that there can be some lingering energy of things just not being clear or getting versions of the truth right in this midnight hour as we go into the overnight from Friday into Saturday. That's what this moon Neptune is. Now, after the moon's conjunction to Neptune wraps up at 2:02 a.m., I got this now at 2:30, the moon is going to go into Aries. The moon is now in Mars's sign. You can have a little bit of foreshadowing once the moon goes into Aries. And the reason I'm saying that is because Mars is getting closer to its conjunction to the sun. There will be a Mars rebirth at the start of the new year. And that's whenever we have the full conjunction to the sun. After that conjunction to the sun, remember, Saturn is going to completely submerge into Aries. So there's something about this energy of like this round of the moon in Aries that feels foreshadowy. It feels like an action. It feels like a reaction. It feels like something that we're being motivated to look for, to look at, to do. There's a big energy shift as we go through the day on Saturday, and the moon is now in Aries, because I don't feel like people are just going to be wanting to drown in their emotions, or just being stuck in the melancholy, or just being stuck in the holiday Christmas spirit of this is what's going to feel so great. No, no, no. There's something about the moon in Aries that it feels like we need to take an action. But given the fact that Mars is in Capricorn and is getting really close to its rebirth, this feels like it's something that needs to be absolutely productive. And that really takes shape over the course of the entire weekend. So let's keep this going. Let's see what all the moon's going to do. The moon, of course, is now in Aries. Now, right after the moon goes into Aries, it starts to build a sextile from Pluto. So that's going to go the most exact between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m. I got it now at 5:30. Here's Pluto, 2 degrees, 35 minutes. Here's the moon, 1 degree, 57. So we're just at the start of that. It's actually going to go more exact closer to that 6:30 time frame. There has been power struggles in the past whenever it comes to Pluto. There's been plumbing issues in the past. If we have that mundane situation, there's been stuff that's been going on underneath the surface that if we had an issue earlier in the week, some of us are not going to be able to take the action to fix the issue until the weekend. I bet this is going to be a very busy morning at Lowe's, Lowe's and Home Depot, or wherever you get your stuff. Because I feel like there's going to be some level of like project material action, reaction, vibration that can go into this, as well as people wanting to move around and do a bunch of things. But again, there's something productive about it. The influence of Pluto can be something that can be triggering for some people, but it also kind of feels like we're leaving a struggle of some sort in the past. And this is kind of like a motivation. Like it feels like a motivation of this is the other thing. We're not going to be as fearful of something as the day progresses. Okay. Now, between 7:30 and 9:30 a.m., I got this now at 8:30, Venus is going to square the moon. This is an appreciation. This is talking about the appearance, how something looks, how something tastes, how that's fueling into the action. Some of us are getting up early in the morning because, again, we're going to go do the clearance Christmas shopping. Humor me. Let's go get our coffees. Let's go get our stuff. Let's go do something because we want to look at the appearance of something, how something makes us feel, how something is going to taste. As the day progresses, we're going to go into our first quarter moon. This is going to be felt the most exact between noon and 2:30. So I got this now at 12:30. Here's the sun, 6 degrees, 15 minutes. Here's the moon, 5 degrees, 54. Give them a little bit of a 30-minute longer window on this one. I feel like there is, again, a direction, a motivation, an action that is kind of coming through. There's something about this that feels like a buildup towards excitement for some people, impulsiveness for other people. Anytime, though, we have harsh squares and the sun being in this square to the moon, sometimes we can say something to someone and their emotional reaction is more physical. It's more disruptive. And that can also be another way that this come through. Am I wishing for that? No. Am I being realistic? Absolutely. Sometimes some people are going to have challenges in the energy that can come through right here with the sun square to the moon, but it feels even more precise as the evening progresses and Mars will square the moon. So I get this now at 6:30 because we have two transits that are happening simultaneously. One, Mars, 9 degrees, 38 minutes, is entering its square to the moon. It's actually going to go more exact around like 7:15. That's why I was giving a bigger window here, but this isn't the only thing that's going on. I don't even have to move the screen for the next one. The other one is Mercury, 22 degrees, 37 minutes in Jupiter's sign. Remember, Jupiter and Chiron have been going through squares since October. So Mercury in Jupiter's sign is in the trine to Chiron, and Chiron is in Mars' sign. The moon is in Mars' sign. And we have Mars in this exalted, productive, gonna get things handled, gonna get things taken care of. And sometimes whenever we are getting some things taken care of, we can say something in a certain tone and it's going to trigger an insecurity. It's going to trigger a wound. You're going to hear somebody say, don't talk to me that way. Don't use that tone with me. Don't say that shit to me. Don't say those kinds of things. You're crossing a line. And there can be some frustrations. And there can be tensions. For other people, it's going to be communicating how someone else crossed lines, how somebody else crossed some kind of action. For other people, it has nothing to do with the crossing. It has more to do with the motivation, communicating that this motivation, that this desire, the action that we wish to take, the pivotal disruption versus chaotic disruption, can give assistance to healing a wound, even though that's not necessarily the verbiage that we're using. It's like, as opposed to working for my dad, it's going to feel so much more healing to work for myself. That's not normally the way that we word it. Let's be fair. It's going to be different. I'll have more control. I'll have more capability. I'll have more freedoms. I'll have more say so. And again, there can be something about the action that we're talking about that can, again, once we communicate it, it offers solution. It offers, dynamics towards the quote, quote, healing, but it's more the solution orientation of the gear shift. There's a gear shift going on. We're not immediately conquering the world, but there is a gear shift. That's the best way I can describe it as we get through the weekend, especially whenever Mars hits the square to the moon. There can be disruption. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and pretend like it's not, but with Mercury's trying to Chiron, I don't feel like it's disruption in the negative sense. Yeah, some of y'all can surprise me. The human effect is you choose on how you respond to certain things. But for a lot of people that are looking for direction, this does not have to be negative. And I just want to be clear about that. Okay. After Mars is square to the moon and Mercury's trying to Chiron, there's not a whole lot going on for the rest of the night. So there's still activity, there's still excitement, there's still kind of that flurry of energy because the moon is now in Aries, but now we're getting into the 28th. The moon, of course, is going to be in Aries all day long, but we're not going to have a whole lot of transits until the afternoon going into the evening time. So I'm going to get this first one now to roughly about 3:30. Yeah. Okay. So the moon is going to hit a square to Jupiter. So here's the moon, 21 degrees, 28 minutes. Here's Jupiter, 21:45. This actually goes more exact closer to the 4 p.m. standpoint, but this is fine. The moon in the higher authority is hitting the square to Jupiter. The moon is also hosting Jupiter. There is something about the action, moon in Aries, the reaction, moon in Aries, that is being pushed towards the doctor, the guru, the teacher. There is some kind of idea that we're asking questions of people that can give us a different level of advice. They give us a different level of understanding. Considering as the moon is hitting the square to Jupiter, it is also hitting its conjunction to Chiron. And this kind of reactivates the Jupiter-Chiron square, but not completely. It feels just like an extra element of this is what's necessary to, again, find a solution, to put something forward, considering there's going to be some new things that are coming through this week that give elements towards the overcoming, the healing, the actions that we're taking. There's giving elements of the gear shift, and the moon hitting the conjunction to Chiron feels like accepting the solution or finally coming up with a solution to how we fix the situation, to how we overcome certain things. Considering we've got one other transit that's kind of simultaneous to this, this kind of feels like a day of epiphany or a day of clarity or a day of direction or a day of, again, the mental, emotional gear shift, considering right after the moon's conjunction to Chiron, Mercury is going to trine the moon, and that's going to be felt the most exact between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. So here's 8:30. Here's Mercury 24:15, and here is the moon at 24:24. There is an action involved here. There is a gear shift that is going throughout the weekend. But I feel like some people are just going through Saturday, and that's where the movement is. I feel like there's more people just kind of moving around, bouncing around, doing certain things. I'm not saying that you can't be moving around on Friday, but I feel like this Friday will be kind of almost like a hungover. It's still going to be kind of slow, or people are still going to be kind of in their feels. Saturday doesn't feel like people are in their feels. It feels like they're looking for something. It feels like there's a motivation. It feels like a desire. I got to tell you, so whenever I was in home building and home sales and, community development and literally working out of a model home, The holiday weekends were some of the busiest because people that were looking at the idea of moving to a new area, they would go hunt over the holidays because people were off. Or their family would take them hunting of like, we really want you to move closer. And there's a brand new development right around the corner. Let's go talk to the people at that model home and see what they have and see what you think. And I'm telling you, the holiday weekends tend to be the busiest because suddenly people are off. that's just it. And I feel like that could be the kind of thing. It's like, we're going to go drive around and look at apartment complexes. We're going to go drive around and look at neighborhoods. We're going to go drive around and look at something. We're going to go do this thing. We're going to go out to the pasture and we're going to build the fence. We're going to do something that has an action because this action has a level of inspiration to it. There's something new that needs to come through, something new that is building. And there's something about next weekend that feels like a gear shift. But we have to get through the week to get to that gear shift. We have that one more round of melancholic, emotional healing for some, drama for others. It really kind of comes down to like whether we've said our piece yet or not. Some of us, y'all haven't said your piece yet, and you're going to be right back around that toxic family member, and you're going to say your piece. That or they're just going to finally cross the line, and you're going to just get up and leave and never answer their calls again. And they're going to keep trying to call you all through the weekend. Why aren't you answering? Why aren't you talking? I quit. I can't tell you how many people that I've cut out of my life, and it's not even a contact situation. It's just like, I quit. I quit with your drama. I quit with your bullshit. I quit with whatever it is. I'm just done. And arguing with you about it is not even worth disrupting my peace. I'm just done. For some people, there will be a little bit of that. But for other people, you're going to be revealing your plan of action, your desires, what is about to happen next to certain family members. And once you tell them the plan, once you tell them what's going on, it's like they're joining in on the fun going, well, I'll help you go look. I'll take you to that model home. I'll take you shopping. I'll drive you there. Because some part of them wants to feel connected to the moment. And that's a part of the gear shift. That's a part of the action. And that's a part of the reaction. It doesn't have to be negative. But we're on the cusp of something. And as this week progresses, little by little, with little connections, a little emotional turmoils and little bitty pieces, a gear shift is taking place. But I really don't feel like the gear shift fully clicks in until the weekend. Until that point, it's kind of lost, trying to be productive, trying to be responsible, trying to put some things in order, but kind of lost. Something comes through after the holiday that motivates us, that gets us moving, that forces us out of the house. And that forcing aligns you with something, whether you realize it or not, whether you're planning on it or not. Some of y'all are just going to get in the car and just go drive, and you're going to land somewhere. And there's something in that energy that gives an idea. It gives a spark. It gives hope. Something that we want to linger on, something that we want to tinker on. We're not doing a whole lot yet. We're still kind of in a transition of movement. But I feel like we're getting closer to the traffic lights changing. And the blur of the cars and the lights that I was describing before, it's not going to be so blurry anymore. So there's that. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions. Hit me up with concerns. I don't know if I'm going to do a meditative rant video this week. It kind of depends on how the holiday goes, but I'm really thinking about it because I want to have a big conversation around Saturn and all of his drama. Anyways, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.